Aviation is one of the safest ways to travel, until something goes catastrophically wrong. Sometimes it's a mechanical failure, sometimes it's a human error, and sometimes it's a series of bad decisions made in seconds that leave no time for recovery. In this video, we'll take a closer look at 5 shocking aircraft accidents caught on camera. From a massive cargo jet that lost control right after takeoff, to a hijacked airliner that ran out of fuel over the ocean, to one of the most miraculous survivals ever filmed on a highway. Some of these passengers never knew what hit them. Others walked away from wreckage no one expected them to survive. This is not fiction. This is real footage, real people, and real decisions that changed lives in an instant. Let's begin.
It was supposed to be a routine cargo flight out of Bagram Airfield, Afghanistan. On April 29, 2013, National Airlines Flight 102, a Boeing 747-400 BCF, was carrying 5 armored military vehicles, including MRAPs, bound for Dubai. On board were 7 experienced American crew members. But within seconds of takeoff, everything went horribly wrong. A dashboard camera from a military vehicle captured the unthinkable. The massive jet pitches up steeply, stalls in midair, rolls, and crashes into the ground in a giant fireball. There were no survivors. The investigation by the NTSB revealed the shocking truth. One of the 12-ton MRAPs broke loose during takeoff. The vehicle slammed into the aft pressure bulkhead, severing hydraulic systems and damaging the jack screw assembly that controlled the horizontal stabilizer. With the stabilizer jammed and no elevator control, the aircraft's nose pitched up uncontrollably. The center of gravity shifted too far aft. The 747 entered an unrecoverable stall and fell out of the sky. But this wasn't just a mechanical failure. The root cause was human. The cargo had been improperly secured. Procedures were flawed. Training was insufficient. And the FAA oversight lacking. Flight 102 never had a chance.
In Mukilteo, Washington, a dashboard camera captured an extraordinary moment. A small, single-engine Piper PA-32 had just taken off from nearby Payne Field when it suddenly lost engine power. With barely 500 feet of altitude and no time to return, the pilot was forced to make an emergency landing. The footage shows the aircraft descending rapidly toward a busy road. It clips power lines, strikes a light pole, and crashes onto the street, hitting several vehicles. A brief fireball flashes, and smoke rises into the air. And yet, no one was seriously injured. Both the pilot and his passenger exited the wreckage on their own before emergency services arrived. No drivers or bystanders were hurt. The aircraft was destroyed, but no lives were lost. Emergency services responded quickly. The cause was determined to be a mechanical engine failure shortly after takeoff. What could have been a tragic accident ended with everyone surviving. A rare and remarkable outcome caught on camera. On February 4, 2015, Trans-Asia Airways Flight 235 crashed into Taiwan's Keelung River just seconds after takeoff. An ATR 72-600 lost power in what appeared to be the right engine. However, due to cockpit confusion, the crew erroneously shut down the wrong engine. The only remaining engine still operating was mistakenly cut off by the captain. With no thrust, the aircraft banked sharply left, its wing clipping a taxi on an overpass before it overturned and plunged into the river. Rescuers in inflatable boats reached the wreckage after about 35 minutes and recovered survivors from the tail section. Of 58 people on board, 53 passengers and 5 crew, only 15 survived, including 1 flight attendant. Tragically, 43 lives were lost. 2 occupants of the taxi sustained injuries. The official investigation cited pilot error and failure to adhere to standard procedures as the root cause. Despite an engine failure alert, the crew misidentified the malfunctioning engine and shut down the wrong one, resulting in complete power loss and the fatal crash. In Crimea, on July 10, 2006, a military Tupolev Tu-134 operated by the Russian Navy's Black Sea Fleet attempted a routine takeoff from Gvardeskoye Air Base near Simferopol. On board were 28 people, including 6 crew members and 22 passengers. Among them, Admiral Vladimir Masarin, the commander-in-chief of the Russian Navy at the time. Just moments into the takeoff roll, the aircraft's left engine exploded, most likely after ingesting a bird. With asymmetric thrust and a growing fire, the pilots immediately initiated a rejected takeoff. But there was little runway left. The Tu-134 overran the airstrip at high speed, veered off course, and suffered a catastrophic structural failure. The landing gear collapsed, and the fuselage split into 2 sections before bursting into flames. What followed was almost unbelievable. Despite the violence of the crash and the intense post-impact fire, all 28 people on board survived. 3 sustained only minor injuries, while the rest walked away unscathed. The aircraft itself was completely destroyed. It was a textbook case of disaster narrowly avoided, a rare moment where everything went wrong, yet everyone lived. On November 23, 1996, Ethiopian Airlines Flight 961, a Boeing 767-200ER, was flying from Addis Ababa to Nairobi when 3 Ethiopian men hijacked the plane. They claimed to be political asylum seekers and demanded that the aircraft be flown to Australia, a destination far beyond the aircraft's fuel capacity. The pilots tried to reason with them, explaining that the fuel on board would not get them anywhere near Australia. But the hijackers refused to listen. As the flight continued over the Indian Ocean, the engines eventually shut down due to fuel exhaustion. With no power left, the crew attempted an emergency water landing near the island of Grand Comore. The aircraft hit the water at high speed, breaking apart on impact and quickly sinking. Out of the 175 people on board, including 12 crew and 163 passengers, only 50 survived. Many passengers tragically drowned after inflating their life vests inside the cabin, which caused them to become trapped against the aircraft ceiling as water flooded in. All 3 hijackers were killed. It remains one of the deadliest hijacking-related crashes in aviation history, and the first ever ditching of a wide-body jet caught on camera. Each of these crashes tells a different story. A cargo plane brought down by a loose armored vehicle, a pilot shutting down the wrong engine, a hijacking that ended in the sea, a small aircraft crashing onto a highway, with no fatalities, and a Soviet jet torn apart by a bird strike, where everyone survived. Some ended in tragedy, others in miracles, but all remind us of the fine line between routine and disaster, and how quickly that line can be crossed. Aviation safety is built on hard lessons, and many of those lessons are written in wreckage. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more real aviation incidents with real explanations, consider subscribing. We'll see you in the next video.